Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel NewsX USA. Please subscribe and like my videos. Today we're going deep inside a dramatic and high-stakes story. Ukrainian forces striking deep into Russian territory, including the capital, with impactful hits on Moscow's skyscrapers and other key infrastructure. Starting with the exterior, from the outside, the scenario shows a bold and unprecedented assault on the skyline of Moscow, often considered safe from direct strikes. According to reporting, for example on 10 November 2024, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that at least 34 drones launched by Ukrainian forces attacked Moscow, forcing the closure or diversion of flights from 3 major airports. The target included high-rise buildings in the business district, which until recently were rarely threatened in this war. On the exterior of these towering structures, you can see shattered windows, damage to facades, broken glass raining down, and at night, burning embers and alarms flashing. One widely reported case involved the business complex in Moscow's Moscow City district, where a drone crashed into a tower, damaging glazing over some 150 square meters. The scale of the assault suggests a shift in tactics. Instead of strikes near the front lines only, operations are being conducted deep inside Russian territory, challenging the idea of Moscow being inviolable. The exterior visuals are significant. Dramatic night shots of towers lit up by air defense flares, smoke drifting above glass curtain walls, emergency services milling about. This external damage and spectacle serve both tactical and psychological functions, sending a message beyond physical destruction. Now moving into the interior, inside these skyscrapers and high-rise complexes, the impact is multifaceted. Interior spaces that were previously regarded as secure executive offices, data centers, high-end residences are now vulnerable. The destruction of the facade often leads to shattered window panes raining into lobbies, dislodged ceiling tiles, sprinklers activated by heat sensors, and smoke seeping into stairwells and elevator shafts. In many cases, businesses housed in the towers must initiate emergency evacuation procedures. Fire alarms go off, backup generators kick in, personnel in top-floor offices rush down fire escapes, and IT servers are shut down to avoid damage from power surges. Reports highlight that at one site, glazing was destroyed over 150 square meters of facade. Inside the building core, sensors detect deviation, fire doors slam shut, emergency lighting kicks in, and the building's internal structural safety systems are tested in real time. The psychological effect on occupants is major. Executives and staff who previously felt safe in their high-rise bubble now face the reality of war reaching them. The interior disruption includes partial evacuation of floors, smoke and dust infiltrating common areas, shattered glass in corridors, and even power outages caused by secondary damage to utilities inside the building. In some cases, nearby airports were forced to divert flights because air defense responses and falling debris posed a risk. The operational readiness of the building's safety systems, fire suppression, backup power, structural monitoring is stressed, and uptime for business continuity becomes a real concern. The combination of structural damage, system disruption, and psychological trauma inside the building creates a high-stakes scenario for anyone working or living there. Performance i.e., effectiveness of the strike. The strike's performance can be measured in several dimensions. First, the ability of Ukrainian forces to launch deep penetration operations into Russian territory, including the Moscow metropolitan area, demonstrates a notable expansion of capability. The strike on 10 November 2024 was described as the largest drone attack on Moscow since the war began, with at least 34 drones launched and 3 major airports temporarily impacted. Second, the ability of air defense systems to respond matters. Russia claimed many drones were shot down, but the fact that any reached the capital's skyline and caused damage signals a breach of previous security assumptions. Third, the impact on infrastructure, disruptions to airports, damage to high-rise buildings, and the psychological effect on Moscow's residents all count as performance metrics. Fourth, the strategic messaging. By bringing the war to Moscow's doorstep, Ukraine shifts the narrative and forces Moscow to respond. So overall, the performance of this operation is significant. It shows reach, effectiveness, and high symbolic value. Safety features in context of the strike, meaning what defenses and protections were in place and how they performed. From the Russian side, significant safety and defense features were deployed to protect Moscow. Advanced air defense systems radar surfaced where missiles, electronic jamming were activated to intercept drones and missiles before they could hit key targets. Reuters reported that in the 34th drone strike, Russia claimed to have intercepted many of them. Additionally, buildings in Moscow's business district have reinforced facades, blast-resistant glazing, automatic fire suppression systems, and structural monitoring systems designed for emergencies. However, the strike's revealed gaps. When a drone hits the facade, the glass breaks, smoke enters, power fluctuations can occur, and internal evacuations may be needed. The safety features in place were tested under realistic attack conditions. From the Ukrainian side, safety for themselves involves using drones with low observable profiles, launching from long range, and aiming away from civilian concentrations when possible, though civilian risk remains. The success of the strike suggests that Ukrainian planners were able to exploit windows in the Russian defense architecture, timing and vectoring their attack to maximize effect. So safety features both for attacker and defender played a key role in the outcome. Unique selling points us what makes this strike/story distinct, the mass scale and depth. Striking Moscow itself rather than only peripheral regions marks a new phase, showing that the conflict's geography is expanding. Psychological impact. A strike inside the Russian capital's skyline sends a message of capability, reach, and willpower. Symbolism of high rises. Attacks on skyscrapers evoke visuals of vulnerability in modern urban centers, undermining the idea of fortress cities. Tactical innovation, using drones, electronic warfare, and asymmetrical tactics to bypass or overwhelm traditional air defenses. Disruption beyond damage, airports diverted flights, businesses were interrupted, citizens in Moscow were reminded of war proximity. These ripple effects amplify the strike's value beyond mere damage. The complexity of modern warfare. The strike underscores that war is not just trenches and front lines, it involves urban infrastructure, airspace, technology, economics, and morale. Price or cost. Here, cost can be interpreted both literally and figuratively. In literal terms, drones and payloads cost far less than conventional missiles or aircraft strikes, meaning this kind of operation is cost-efficient from the attacker's perspective. On the other side, the damage to the building, repairs, loss of business continuity, disruptions to airports and infrastructure represent high financial cost for the defender. Moreover, the figurative cost, escalation risk, civilian exposure, economic disruption, political backlash. For Moscow, allowing such a strike means reputational cost, the perception of being vulnerable. For Ukraine, mounting such long-distance operations carries risk of escalation, retaliation, or civilian casualties, which could have diplomatic cost. So the price is multi-layered: financial, strategic, political, and human. Conclusion. In summary, this event marks a major milestone in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. A strike reaching deep into the Russian capital, targeting skyscrapers, disrupting infrastructure, and challenging assumptions about safety and geography. The exterior damage shows how even modern high-rise buildings in major cities are not immune. The interior chaos reveals how business continuity and urban life are vulnerable under war conditions. Performance of the strike highlights reach, effectiveness, and symbolic power. Safety features were heavily tested and in some cases breached, pointing to evolving vulnerabilities in urban defense. The unique selling points of this operation are its scale, symbolism, tactical innovation, and strategic messaging. And the price in terms of cost, risk, and consequences is high for both sides. Ultimately, this episode signals that the war is no longer confined to traditional battlefields. Its reach, technology, and effects are urban, visible, and far-reaching. For viewers, the takeaway is clear. The nature of modern warfare has changed, and the front lines now include skyscrapers, cities, infrastructure, and skies previously thought safe. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Stay tuned for more updates from NewsX USA.